taking a shortcut in a video game is supposed to be a rewarding experience, making the player feel smart for discovering an easy and efficient way to skip through a part of the game. However, sometimes developers don't like it when people try to skip through their creation. After all, they worked bloody hard on it, and instead of praising you for being clever and curious, they decide to punish you for looking for an easy way out of a situation. So let's have a chat about it, as I'm Jules, this is WhatCulture.com, and these are 10 video games that punish you for taking shortcuts. Number 10. Killing everyone. Dishonored, Knife of Dunwall. The chaos system exists in Dishonored to give your actions a little more meaning. Now, depending on how violently or quietly you're playing, the world around you adjusts accordingly, and it can even determine which ending that you're going to get. And in the game's DLC, The Knife of Dunwall, chaos serves another purpose, in that here, it punishes you for taking the easy way out of situations. In this DLC, you'll play as Dowd, the assassin who murdered the Empress, so killing your enemies proves to be way easier than pacifying them. However, because Knife of Dunwall's story wants to show that he's having a change of heart, the game doesn't want you to straight out go for the kill. And if you choose the shortcut approach and kill your targets instead of taking the time to dispose of them peacefully, in the final act, you will be punished by his assassins who turn on him for his actions. Worst of all, even when you manage to defeat your old companions, you get assassinated by Corvo in the epilogue cutscene anyway, as he no longer has anyone to watch his back. Well, I mean, you did have it coming. Number 9. Stick to the script. The Evil Within. The survival horror game The Evil Within builds its narrative around the STEM system, a brain-powered invention that creates an alternate world for people who are connected to it. The title's entire story relies on you trying to escape and destroy STEM's artificial world, which is why when you get the opportunity to do it early on in Evil Within's DLC The Consequence, the game actually punishes you for it. In the DLC, you play as Detective Julie Kidman as she looks for a way out of STEM's nightmare. At one stage, Julie enters a STEM chamber in the alternate world where she sees her friends and herself connected to the machine, as well as the giant brain jar in the middle of the room that powers the entire system. What the game wants you to do is move on to the next sequence, but any rational player's first instinct would be to destroy the brain and be done with all of this. However, shooting it will only cause the game to mock you by showing you a fake credit sequence in which you won and everyone lived happily ever after. But I'm just saying that maybe everyone would stick to the script if the shortcut didn't make so much more sense. Still, thank you for that. Number 8. Entering restricted areas early. Grand Theft Auto 4. Now, one of the common features in most Grand Theft Auto games are the roadblocks that prevent players from accessing new areas on the map. GTA 4 is the last game to use these types of restrictions and, coincidentally, is also the harshest title when it comes to punishing players for crossing them. Instead of a small slap on the wrist or even giving you a 4-star wanted level like San Andreas, Grand Theft Auto 4 whips out the big gun on its impatient players. As soon as you find yourself on the other end of the blockade, the game gives you a full 6-star wanted level and 6 federal agents and military vehicles on you. You can forget about exploring the new islands or playing around on them, as the horde of special forces will not stop pursuing you for as long as you're in the restricted area. Even if you have a change of heart and try to go back, you'll still have to try and lose the police after crossing the bridge to safety. Well, I mean, you do only have yourself to blame, or rather your lack of ability to read basic road signs. I mean, they are literally right next to the barriers. Number 7. Solving the case too quickly. Ace Attorney. The Ace Attorney series is a brilliant narrative experience that perfectly encapsulates the thrill of dropping a bombshell in court. Every time you get to use Phoenix Wright's famous objection, you feel like a true mastermind of the law, using your smarts and wits to bring criminals to justice. Well, except when the game thinks that you're using your completely logical and well thought out accusations a little too fast. Unfortunately, because the game's court events are almost entirely linear, you're required to present your evidence in a very particular order, even if the connection between the issue and your evidence is valid and is even mentioned later on in the case. Oh, did you think you could just link the murder weapon with the wounds on the victim's body without bringing up the autopsy reports first? Well, that's a penalty for you, mister. 4 more and you're out on your butt. The Court of Ace Attorney simply doesn't allow for these kinds of logical shortcuts, even though it is perfectly fine with cutting through the red tape to put innocent people on death row within less than 3 days. Yeah, brill. Number 6. The Cazador Route. Fallout New Vegas. The most important choice that you will ever make in Fallout New Vegas is not who you'll support in the war for Hoover Dam or what kind of moral path your character will follow. It's actually the road that you'll choose to leave on from the starting location of Goodsprings. There are 2 distinct paths here, the long way around the entire Mojave area and a direct shortcut to New Vegas. And when you start the game, you might feel tempted to pick the latter to get to the main part of the title faster, but the thing is, judging the 2 roads by their distance from your destination is a grave mistake. Your choice choice of exit is literally a matter of life or death, as the shortcut to New Vegas is filled with swarms of poisonous Cazadors and angry Deathclaws. It might seem like the fastest path forward, but in reality, you'll have to reload the game so many times that walking around half of the map actually feels more efficient. The developers clearly wanted you to take the scenic route to get acquainted with their world better, and those that try to skip the attractions will pay for their mistake with their sanity and their lives. Number 5. The skip button. The Stanley Parable. The Stanley Parable loves to make fun of video game tropes, and the ability to skip things is certainly one of them. The additional content for the game that comes with its deluxe edition features a special skip button that the creators added in response to the criticisms regarding the lengthy monologues of the Stanley Parable's narrator. The button allows you to skip the narration whenever you feel like it's overstaying its welcome, causing the game to immediately progress through time to the point where the narrator finishes talking. However, if you think the button is a genuine attempt to appease Stanley's impatient haters, well, you're in for quite the surprise. You see, every time you press the button, the amount of time you skip through gets longer. You start off skipping minutes and eventually cause the game to move years into the future, waking up in a dark, almost post-apocalyptic version of the room you left behind. All the while, the terrified and exhausted narrator curses you for messing with the button too much. So in the future, maybe don't look for ways to skip the narration in a game that uses narration as its main bloody selling point. Number 4. The Navaro Run. Fallout 2. Now, the world of Fallout 2 isn't really known for forgiveness. The wasteland is full of mutants and raiders ready to chew your character up at a moment's notice. And if you ever needed a reminder of this fact, look no further than the military outpost at Camp Navaro. Now, Camp Navaro is the Enclave's base of operation in the mainland wasteland and is the setting for one of the main quest missions later on in the story. And for this reason, the base is filled with high-level enemies and advanced power armor and weapons that can easily dissuade any curious players from advancing through the game a little too quickly. Attempting to sneak into the base before you're supposed to be there is one of the most punishing experiences in Fallout 2. The soldiers here are always on high alert, and the tiniest mistake on your part will make them unload a war crime's worth of lead and lasers into your body. But hey, if you manage to somehow survive, you can technically finish the game early. Or better yet, get yourself a shiny new power armor and cruise through the rest of the game without a care in the world. Number 3. The Frying Pan. Fable. One of the most powerful items in Fable is a magical frying pan that possesses 5 augmented slots, the largest number of them in the game. The only problem is that in order to obtain it, you have to finish a long and boring scavenger hunt where you look for 6 clues all over the Orchard Farm area. However, if you've already played the game and know where the pan is hidden, you can technically go there and dig it up without the clues, except this will completely ruin your all-powerful item. Unfortunately, the pan that you find without checking out the clues is completely different to the one you get for completing the quest. Due to Fable's scripts, the correct pan only spawns after the player has found all of the clues, and the one that lies in its location until that point is a fake placeholder one without any of the augment slots that make it so powerful. Even worse, when you pick up the false frying pan, you will permanently prevent yourself from finding the real deal. Well, at least you can still whip up a mean omelette on it, providing you don't mind cooking it on top of a creepy human face. Number 2. Too Far, Too Soon. Inscription. Inscription is a deck-building roguelike which is utterly fantastic, in which you play cards against a mysterious serial killer-style person who is keeping you hostage in their forest cabin. The game features plenty of bizarre and surprising events, one of which is triggered when your captor notices that you're beating him a little too quickly. The first time you play Inscription, its mechanics and random events can seem pretty overwhelming, but once you get the hang of it, however, your first match with Leshy can be done in just a few minutes. You can bring this time even further down to around a minute by using shortcuts when drawing playing cards, but this is where the game decides that maybe you've taken things a bit too far. Once Inscription notices that you're playing exceedingly fast, a glitched graphic will appear on the screen, and then Leshy will tell you that you've made it too far too soon, and his eyes will then turn red, and he will summon 2 whole rows of super strong grizzly bear cards as a means of punishing you for your impatience. Someone's a sore loser. And number 1, entering key codes early. South Park: The Fractured But Whole. Now, South Park: Fractured But Whole is far too self-aware not to address its players trying to cheat their way through its stages. The developers left a special punishment for players who try to enter the passwords to various locked doors in the game without finding them in the story first. Whenever South Park catches you trying to use your meta-knowledge, an angry Cartman dressed as Bill Belichick, the coach of the New England Patriots, appears on screen to chastising you for trying to pull off a Tom Brady. Even if you're not an NFL fan and don't quite get the reference to Brady's 2015 cheating scandal, Cartman's appearance is so unexpected and sudden that it's hard not to laugh at it, even though it's technically you that's being laughed at. The Easter egg is great, but this being said, it can also appear when you manage to get the password right with just an educated guess, which can be quite confusing on your first run. Maybe if Cartman didn't want people to guess his secret password so quickly, he shouldn't have made it something as predictable as you mum. And there we go, my friends. Those were 10 video games that punish you for taking shortcuts. I hope that you enjoyed that, and please let me know what you thought about it down in the comment section below. And if you want to follow me on the social medias, why not take the shortcut over to FGS, or the Future Game Show, where I'm doing all of my gaming content going forward. It'd be great to see you over there, my friends. And you can take a look at all of the new content that I'm making every single day over there, and the little positive affirmations that I end my videos with. Speaking of which, hope that you're doing well. Hope you're treating yourself with love and respect, my friends, because you deserve all the bloody best. And I want you to go out there and smash your life goals today. I believe in ya. As always, I've been Jules. You have been awesome. Never forget that. And I'll speak to you soon. Bye.